Right, up next then is SABC News international editor Sophie Mokoena opening up her diary for you. Sophie, good afternoon. Let's start with the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development. That's taking place in Spain, is it?
Yes, in Spain, as you know, that this is the UN-led initiative where there's hope that member states and other important global institutions will find a way in terms of discussing the restructuring of the financial system, and also look at how can you ensure that you have funds to support development in developing countries and in poorer countries. You also have a situation now, we have reports that last week the U.S. did announce that it's not going to participate in that conference, and understandably so, because the U.S. under Donald Trump has taken a almost hostile posture against any UN-led initiatives, and we know that they've even threatened to cut down funding on the UN or the UN agencies. We know they pulled out of the climate change agreement, the Paris Agreement, and this issue of climate change is going to feature high during the discussions. And
now, Sophie, do we know anything about the status of who will lead the South African delegation? I saw a story, I didn't want to give any credibility to any stories that are not, official. But do we know who's leading? Is it the president or is it one of the other ministers or the deputy president?
The president had to call off that trip, and it's unfortunate because both the Secretary General of the UN and the Deputy Secretary of the UN, Amina Mohammed, came to South Africa to ask South Africa to participate in that conference because South Africa is the current chair of the G20. The country is leading the most powerful group, that is the G20. And therefore, when you want certain things to help, then you have to lobby these groups. And the G20 is a strategic group because, yes, you have the developed North, but you also have the developing South, like South Africa, like Brazil, like India, and other countries. And therefore, it was important for South Africa to be there to push the agenda of the developing South, the agenda of Africa, and of course the agenda of South Africa. And when you look at the last appearance of President Ramaphosa at the financing summit in France, he was very strong and forceful, and he became the big story of the summit because he was clear in terms of articulating the interest of the developing South and the poorer nation. Right. And it was expected that a country like South Africa will just do that. But now we have the Minister of International Relations who will lead the delegation, and I think he will still emphasize that. I think even the Minister of Finance will be there because we're talking finance.
All right. Let's talk about, while we're talking summits, let's talk about the BRICS summit. It's the 17th one in one iteration of the bloc or another. And it's in Rio de Janeiro. Tell me a bit more about it.
Also there you have challenges. You have China that has announced that its president, Xi Jinping, will not attend because of a standoff with India. You also have Russia that will be represented by the Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov, not the President Vladimir Putin, because of that ICC warrant of arrest. And these are two strategic leaders within the BRICS. And therefore, you have now, India will be there, South Africa will be there, and other countries, including Nigeria, that has been invited, and it looks like Nigeria is showing interest to join the BRICS nations. Therefore, the question becomes, who will be able to bring together India and China? Because if this standoff continues, it will derail the BRICS formation and the unity of that group.
Sure. All right. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch as that summit unfolds. Lastly, Sophie, I imagine then that having had the signing at the White House in the last few days of that peace deal between Rwanda and the DRC, the next phase of that process is what we'll be watching closely now.
The implementation, but also more reaction, because the concern from the continent is that this is linked to giving mineral rights to America.
Yeah.
And other people characterizing this as selling DRC to the highest bidder. Now we need to unpack that agreement that will be signed between DRC and America. What does it entail? Because we know since the assassination of Patrice Lumumba with the different role players, including the intelligence of the United States of America at that time, DRC has never experienced peace. And therefore, again, you have a situation where the current sitting president is signing a deal on minerals. What does it entail? He couldn't even sign those deals with other countries that have been assisting DRC to find peace, including SADC member countries. A few months ago lost 16 soldiers, including the others from Malawi. And many people are saying this is the type of leadership we have on the continent that cannot depend and trust fellow continental leaders and countries and ordinary people on the continent. You trust the foreign countries outside the continent to an extent that you sign this kind of a deal. So we are going to unpack the deal and look at what does it entail and the implications and whether the criticism that this is selling the DRC to the highest bidder are justified, or perhaps it's just a view that doesn't hold water.
Well, at least, Sophie, one of the benefits of having Donald Trump is that he doesn't have any filters. So he's already spoken about the amount of minerals that they'll be getting as part of that deal from the DRC.
And he's transactional. There's no way he was doing that thing. Photo op. That was a photo op. That thing, that was a photo op. Photo op for I've grabbed rare minerals in DRC.
All right, Sophie, let's leave it there for this afternoon. That's SABC News International Editor, Sophie Mokoena.